Hey, folks, as former DNC chair Jamie Harrison and host of At Our Table, uh, let me tell you what's on my mind today. And what's on my mind today is the firing of Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States. Um, when we think about Pam Bondi, her tenure as Attorney General wasn't just controversial, it was corrosive. Because what we saw with her wasn't justice. For the first time in American history, we always had this perception that Lady Justice was blind, right? That we were going to go where the law took us. Um, but justice was not blind under this Department of Justice led by Pam Bondi. This justice system was built and focused on political revenge, and that's what it was. She operated in politics. She operated in the space where she was focused like a laser on revenge-driven, uh, agenda, and she really was. When Donald Trump publicly called on her to go after his political opponents, did she push back? No. She went right to it. And what do I mean by that? She went after James Comey. She went after Letitia James. She went after Adam Schiff. These are all people that Donald Trump deemed. And you remember he even sent a text message to her that I guess he posted a tweet, which was supposed to be a text message about the need to go after these people. And then she went after them and she brought up these cases that were so flawed that a judge threw most of them out. And not just on a technicality, but because fundamentally these things w- were not grounded in the law. Folks, that's not law enforcement. That's political obsession. And did they stop there? No, they didn't stop there because after they were thrown out, they tried again, they failed, they tried again, they failed. And so they had this persistence because it was not about the pursuit of justice, it was about the pursuit of payback. And Donald Trump didn't feel as though that it was her performance was sufficient enough to pay back the folks that he deemed his political enemies. And it didn't even stop there. You didn't even have to be somebody who went out and did something to Donald Trump, and that's what he felt that Adam Schiff and Letitia James and James Comey did. Under Pam Bondi and this Department of Justice, man, they launched investigations uh, on folks who didn't do what Trump wanted them to do. He went after Jerome Powell, right? He went after Lisa Cook. He went after Jack Smith. uh, it's either you follow Donald Trump's line, but if you disagree with him, then they're going after you, and you're going to be the target. So I think it's important that we have to think about what does this do to the country, and that's where the real danger is when the law is used as a weapon. When the law is used as a weapon, people stop believing in the system. They stop having trust that justice is blind. And that's where that's where we are right now. Everything falls apart because they don't know what the motivation is behind uh, some agenda coming out of the Department of Justice. Is it because somebody actually broke the law, or is it just because they said something that Donald Trump didn't like? Did they do something against Donald Trump? Well, I'm sorry, Donald Trump. You are not the law. uh, Doing the things that you want or don't want should not allow somebody to be prosecuted, thrown in jail because of it. One of I think the worst things that Pam Bondi did, particularly took place when we think about uh, what happened in terms of the Epstein files. You all remember early on in this administration, she said, I have the files right on my desk. I'm going to review them. And then all of a sudden, those files were buried. And then even once Congress came out with some legislation to say that you are mandated to disclose these files, she put out some documents, but millions she kept. Um, They the redactions on some of these things, I mean, there were pages and pages, of the files that she released that were redacted, right? All blank pages, you all remember that. But at the same time, some of the victims' names were disclosed. Anything that, dealt with Donald Trump was redacted. So, when it came to the powerful and the connected, Pam Bondi hesitated. She did not release the materials that needed to be released. But when it came to those who were vulnerable, when it came to those who were already victims, she rushed to get that information out. Folks, that's not right. She didn't even follow the law that was just recently passed, the law that was even signed begrudgingly by Donald Trump. But when you think about their political opponents, what did you see from the Justice Department? Aggression, speed, relentlessness. Even when the cases weren't built on anything, even when the cases just fell apart. People feel and see that imbalance. The vulnerable, the victims, they don't have the Justice Department on their side. But those who have power, they do. So what you see under Donald Trump, what you see under Pam Bondi was this idea that loyalty was more important than the law. Loyalty more important than the law. That means you had to be loyal to Donald Trump. You had to be loyal to his political agenda. You have to be loyal to the Constitution. And even when you are loyal, like Pam Bondi was, what happens to you? You get fired. You get released. You get kicked out. And apparently she was begging to stay on, to stay at the Department of Justice, to stay as the Attorney General. Again, under this administration, justice becomes optional. I want to say this as I sort of wrap up my thoughts. Here's a part that should really give people pause. Pam Bondi wasn't fired for going too far. We know of all of the tragic stuff that she has done at the Department of Justice. We know the quality, how she has impacted and brought a cancer into the culture of the Department of Justice. That she has even reduced the standards for folks who are hired by the Department of Justice, people who have been working at the DOJ for generations under Democratic presidents and Republican presidents, people who in a bipartisan fashion would say these are good people who are knowledgeable about justice in this country and know how to do their jobs and would get that bipartisan approval. Those folks have left the Department of Justice, have been run out. And she's lowered the standards by which the folks that they've tried to replace those people with are coming into the Department of Justice. They just don't have the experience. So she wasn't fired for going too far. Pam Bondi was fired for not going far enough. Let that sink in, folks. If you understand this pattern, you understand this. There is no floor in this Trump administration. No floor. So while Pam Bondi is now gone, there's no guarantee that we're going to get anybody better to replace her. Actually, the only guarantee you have is probably odds are that it's going to be worse. It is going to be worse. And this is, once again, why I say these elections are so important. Folks, we got to put a check on this administration. We got to put a check on this administration. Because the America that we all know and love, the American justice system in which we all thought that, there's some fairness, not always fair, but some fairness in it, has no fairness right now under Donald Trump, under Pam Bondi, and whoever her replacement is going to be. So yes, Pam Bondi being fired might feel like accountability. But folks, this isn't about one person. It's about what we are becoming as a nation. Because when justice becomes political, when the law becomes a weapon, when when loyalty replaces truth, the damage doesn't leave with that one person. That damage doesn't leave when Pam Bondi steps out of the Department of Justice, walks out of the Justice Department doors for the final time. It stays in the system. They often say a fish rottens, what is it? Fish rottens at its head first. I don't know if that's technically true. It's a good saying. And if it is true, we see the head of our government right now is rotten. And the whole thing is smelling up right now. So, question is simple for us. If there is no floor for them, where is the line for us? Where's the line for us? So that's what's been on my mind, friends. Would love to hear what's been on your mind, what your thoughts are about Pam. Bye, Pam. um, uh, yeah, it wasn't even nice to meet you. It wasn't even nice to see you because you were awful. You were awful. But you're just you're a symbol of the awfulness that we see coming out of this administration.